Hello, ladies and gents. All right, gotta brighten up the phone a little bit so I can see you. Okay, let me get my school peeps in here and Facebook, all that good stuff. And we're gonna get started. The title tonight is How Food Becomes Comfort, Relief, Escape, Reward. You guys fill in the blank. You guys know how food makes you feel. A lot of times we're not eating food because we're hungry for food, but we're hungry for something else. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, you guys let me know, what are some of the reasons why you eat food besides hunger? What makes you grab or gravitate toward certain foods? You guys let me know. Yes, because it feels that's comfort. Because it feels good, right? That is comfort. Absolutely. Safety. Okay. That kind of goes under comfort as well. Same, very similar. I'm fasting right now. Kudos. Congratulations to you. That's awesome. Are you fasting from all foods, or, some people have modified fast? I'm not sure. All kind of different things, but a true fast is nothing but water. All right. Are you doing a true fast? Cool beans, cool beans. Okay, well, you guys know I like to go ahead and get right into it, okay? All right, so um, in addition to how these things become your reward or relief and things of that nature, I'm also going to talk about how little tiny shifts can help you improve your relationship with food. Because a lot of times we try to do to blah blah blah. We try to do things that are too big and too complicated, and the brain is just like, whoa, way too much. This ain't what we do. Let's just go back to the couch and have a seat. Okay? So we're gonna talk about small shifts, big relief, and how tiny patterns shape your relationship with food. All right, so you guys that are in my school, you guys that are on YouTube, you guys that are on Facebook, you guys let me know how you use food. Do you use it as relief, comfort, reward, whatever? Okay, so the reason of this talk with you guys tonight, because I often get asked to speak at wellness rallies and workshops, or like expos and things of that nature, right? And so I'm often asked to speak on emotional eating, because a lot of times we eat outside of true hunger. Have you guys ever eaten before and you weren't hungry? Anybody out there? Okay, I see some hearts, thumbs up. Yes, right? A lot of times we eat because of other things. So, like any good speaker, though, I was warming up the room and just making sure that we're all on the same page, because not a lot of people realize that they eat out of habit. They eat because somebody told them to, because it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Because they see a commercial on TV and they're like, "Oh, I haven't eaten all day, so I'm hungry." And I've got somebody here in the group, in the Facebook group, and you just said you're fasting, right? How many days have you been fasting? And while you get a chance to answer that, I personally have done 5 21-day fasts, and I started out the fast with just 3 days dry, which means no nothing. No, obviously no food, no water, no soda, nothing to drink at all. In addition to a dry fast, that also means no shower, no brushing your teeth. Exactly. No, nothing but air. That's what a true fast is. You start out with 3 days dry, nothing. Has anybody ever done that before? And then the rest of the time is nothing but water. Okay? So that's what a true fast is. And the funny thing is, you guys, when I actually check in with myself when I'm doing a fast, I'm actually never hungry. Now, do I want food? Of course, because food can be fun. Food is like the center of everything. It's cultural, it's relational. It's how we identify sometimes. But a lot of times we're eating out of habit because we want it, it looks good, memories, nostalgia, all those kind of things. So the big topic is emotional eating. Okay. So as I was doing this workshop, we laughed, we talked, we cried, we reflected, and I shared what I thought were really my top three takeaways on what I did to help my relationship with food. So I'll be honest with you guys. Where I am today is not where I was 10 years ago. And I didn't just quantum leap there. Now, what I do for a living now is help people quantum leap in their journey with food. But where I was 10 years ago, it took me about 10 years to get where I am, to have the kind of mindset that I have now. But of course, I'm not going to take you guys through that whole journey. I don't take people through that long journey when I'm giving a workshop and whatnot. But being able to reflect, I look back and I literally give people my top three takeaways in the order of what I did to help my relationship with food. So the event ended, and then later on, my cousin pulls up on me and she's like, "Yo, you did such a great job. That was so amazing. That was one of the best health talks that I've been a part of, and I didn't want to go to sleep. But I really want to know what your real secrets are." And I was like, what do you mean my real secrets? Like, I told you guys, like, it was a 45-minute talk. And she was like, "Well, no, but I really want to know, like, your for real secrets." And I was just like, I was baffled. I was just like, literally what I told you guys is what I do to improve my relationship with food. And it's what I give my paying clients, the top three things in order of what to do to improve. So I kind of like sat with that. It kind of bothered me. And I was just like, why didn't she believe me? Was there anybody else in the room that didn't believe me? What could I have done better to communicate that this is the direction that you go? And so I sat with it and I was like, you know what? I think what she's really telling me is that I don't need any more food rules. I don't need anybody telling me what to do and what to eat, right? What she was telling me is that she needs more relief. And I totally get that because it could be so much food noise out there. You're kind of like, all right, this person said that. Now you're saying this. Like, oh my gosh, what do I really do? So I think a lot of us are there. And at this point in our lives, we don't need more pressure. We don't need more rules. We don't need another reason to feel behind. And although, again, what I gave were my top three legit takeaways on what I do to improve our relationship with food, what you guys are seeking with, or what you're seeking is, again, just relief. Like, less second guessing, less feeling like you're running behind, okay? Less feeling like food is running your life. So, what I want to offer you guys today is a different way to think about change. A different way to think about change. One that doesn't require more discipline, more willpower, more motivation, right? Just small little tiny shifts that your nervous system can actually handle. Does that sound like a good idea? Okay. Now, quick show of hands. Quick show of hands. How many have you ever said, I know what to do, I just don't do it? Anybody out there? Okay, I see some hearts. Nice. The crying faces. I assume that you mean yes. Right. Okay. What about you guys out there on Facebook and YouTube? Anybody? Okay, good deal. All right. So you're in the right room. All right. If you've ever said, I know what to do, but I just don't do it. Okay. We've been taught that change comes from doing something big. A big reset, a big plan, a big promise to do better. But the truth is, your life is already being shaped by the small things that you do every day. And I'm talking about tiny little patterns, repeated moments, things so normal that you barely notice them anymore. So I want to ask you guys, can you guys hear me? All right. So I want to ask you guys, what are some tiny moments around food that may lead to food even when you weren't hungry? Let me ask you guys that again. What are some tiny moments around food that may lead you to food even when you weren't hungry? Somebody says right after work. Okay. Late at night. Ooh, that's a big one. Late night munchies. Listen, that's something that I'm working on myself right now. I think for the last 2, maybe 3 weeks, I have started at, I would eat all times of the night because I'm usually up working and researching and grinding, getting the business going and all that kind of stuff. So researching is tiring. When you're using your brain, that's 30% energy. That's a lot of energy. So I'm like snacking all the time. But what I'm working on now is that every 2 weeks that go by, I decrease that munching time by 30 minutes. So now I'm at 8:30. I do not eat anything after 8:30 p.m. And what I say is, and so it won't look like a restrictive type of way. It's like, no, I can't have anything. I take something out of James Clear's book and he reframes the way that we speak to each other. Right? So I say to myself, I am the woman, or I am a woman who no longer eats after 8:30 p.m. And it sounds just a little softer, like a little more gentler, less restrictive, less rule sounding, right? So I no longer eat after 8:30 p.m. And it hasn't been a struggle. Do I still think about it sometimes? And I'm like, oh, let me get some chips. And I'm like, wait, no, that's not what we do anymore. And then the thought just kind of goes away. So you may want to try it. I don't know. All right. But going back to what are some thoughts around food, some tiny little moments around food that may lead you back to food when you weren't hungry. So somebody earlier said right after work, late night snacking. Somebody says between meetings, absolutely. Somebody else says putting the kids to bed. That just sounds like you've probably had a long day. And once you finally put the kids to bed, things kind of get quiet, but the food noise gets louder. I can just imagine. Okay? Yes, all of these are tiny little moments. Somebody says getting in the car. I wonder if that is like after work, you're about to get into traffic, or you have road rage, you're just stressed about a lot of things. But that's very interesting. Very interesting. I love all of you guys' answers. Okay. So basically, out of all of this, as you can see, when it comes to food, those tiny little small patterns, they quietly train us every single day. Now, I want to share a little piece of my story because our food patterns aren't just random. They're not just because. Okay? So, for those that are new, I want to share that I played basketball at Belmont University. It's a small school in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I'm from. And being a student athlete, it gave me a lot of discipline and structure. Like my days were just mapped out to class, to practice, lift weights. And then by the time all of that was done, it was around 6 p.m., which means it was time to eat dinner. Okay? Now, here's where it gets interesting. The cafeteria closed about 6:30 p.m. And because I didn't grow up in Mayberry, 6:30 p.m. to finish your last meal of the day is hella early for me, okay? Now, if you know anything about Belmont University, the one that exists today is not the same one that existed 30 years ago when I played, but we'll come back to that, okay? So the way that I grew up in my parents' house, the kitchen was open 24/7. Food was always available, which is obviously a blessing. Now, my next door neighbors, their parents closed their kitchens at 8 p.m. every single night. 8 o'clock, no matter Monday, Saturday, Wednesday, it didn't matter. 8 p.m. every single night. Now, I'm sure it was for more reasons of them having 6 kids. And feeding, of course, was expensive then, just as it is today. Not the same price tag, but it's still, same expense. And the interesting thing about all of that is that they were all overweight. Every last one of them, all 6 kids plus 2 of the parents, all overweight. More interesting than that, out of the 8 people that was under that household, only one of them is still living today. Only one of them is living today. They had the restriction of no eating past 8 p.m. Only one of them is living today. Now back to me. As a Division I post player, which is the 4 or the 5, and sometimes we're the tallest ones on the court, right? I can't control my height because I'm only 5'12". Okay. That's not super tall in college basketball, but I could hold my own down on the post, right? But because I couldn't just, grow myself taller, I can do something about my weight, right? So I was constantly being groomed to gain weight. At one point, you guys, I was bench pressing almost 200 pounds. And at the same time, yes, 200 pounds, bench pressing. All right, right? Now, at that time, I truly believed that I needed to eat a certain way to get stronger. So after that hella early 6:30 p.m. dinner time, right? Most nights I would walk across the street from Belmont, from campus, and go to the Circle K. Now, if you don't know what a Circle K is, it's a gas station. So if you're in the South Florida area, I see a lot of Wawas, Florida, Texas, Exxon, BP, wherever. It's a gas station. Nothing super fancy, but you guys know the setup, right? The silver rolling grill, the family-sized bag of Doritos that I had to have on the side that I could usually finish in one night. And then I had to wash it all down with some lemonade or some Gatorade or some Kool-Aid or some type of aid to help me toward instant diabetes. See what I did there? But that's not all. The next morning, well before the food had time to digest, I'm putting on top of that food 3 pancakes or 3 waffles, whatever the cafeteria had, 3 scrambled eggs, 3 pieces of bacon or sausage, depending on, some grits, some toast, and 2 Slim Fast. You heard me right. Yes, Slim Fast. Now, I talk a lot about the dark psychology of food marketing in my school, as most don't realize the front of a package is just entertainment. The back is for the education, okay? But yeah, my trainer had me on this to help me gain weight. And guess what, you guys? It worked. It definitely worked. Now, at the time, I thought I was doing exactly what I was supposed to do. But what I didn't understand then was that I wasn't just eating. I was building a pattern. Those patterns taught my body when to expect food, how to respond to stress, what comfort felt like after losing a game, how to quiet my thoughts when pressure was high from being a student athlete. It was teaching me all those things. And I didn't have the language for it back then, but what I understand now is this. Food ain't the problem. Food is the translator. It translated stress into action, structure into routine, patterns or pressure into patterns. Fast forward years later, I experienced some health challenges that years later that I eventually traced back to food. And even when I found out what foods were hurting me, the foods that I loved, they didn't love me back. But even though I still loved those foods and they didn't love me back, it didn't matter. I didn't care. I'd rather be in a toxic, abusive relationship. Loving something that doesn't love you back, that's kind of abuse. And you know it's hurting you, but you keep going back, that's toxic. Okay? But I found myself still loving it. Okay? Anybody eat foods that they know doggone well is not good for you. It does not serve you. Anybody else do that? Like eat foods, right? Okay, so it wasn't just me. Okay, that's comforting to know. Not really, but yeah. So anyway, over time, our patterns don't just shape our routines. They start to shape our health. And once I realized this, that's when curiosity kicked in. I needed to understand why we eat the way that we do, not just what we eat, but why. That usually tells a big story about stuff. That is the question that led me to go back to school to get my third degree and pursue my PhD in educational psychology and research with the focus of the psychology of eating. I go by Dr. Denise Thinks because I believe that a real change starts when we understand how we think before we try to change what we eat. Okay? So let me give you some instant relief. This talk about tonight, this ain't about what to eat. Because I think most people pretty much already know what to do. You already know that this donut is a lot less healthy for you than a plate of green beans. Like, you already know that. That's not the issue. Okay? This chat is about the patterns. And it's about how patterns form, especially under stress, and how small little tiny shifts can give you big relief. Sound good? Okay, let me give you an example. Decades ago, wearing seat belts wasn't common. Okay? If you look at some old black and white pictures and you see the first Ford car, they didn't have seat belts. Then they invented seat belts years later. Now, when they came out with the information about the seatbelts, they knew that they were safer. People knew that they were safer, but knowledge alone don't change behavior, right? What shifted was everything, and it wasn't about education. It was a tiny system change. So cars were redesigned so that the seatbelt was easier to reach. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. The click became automatic because if it don't click, something ain't right. And then after that, the tiny little the chime came. Okay? Now, how many of you wanted to just get to the end of your driveway before buckling up because you were looking for your phone or trying to find a good song on the radio, or just wanted to pull out real quick because you was already running behind? How many of you ever done that before? Okay, right. See some hands up. Yes. Okay. Now, you only buckled your seatbelt to turn that daggum chime from keep going off, like doom, 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 like let me just put this thing on, right? And so over time, buckling up, it stopped being a decision. You just did it. It just became a reflex, right? And that one small, repeatable, actionable step dramatically reduced a whole lot of injuries and saved a lot of lives. Does that make sense? Because it certainly wasn't because people suddenly cared more. That wasn't it. It was because the system made the safer choice the easiest one. So the system is this: the location of the seatbelt, the click that made it seem right, and then the chime that went off if you didn't click it. That's what small shifts do. they turn effort into ease. So, how do you build the habits that you guys need in order to get your lifestyle that you want? I'm so glad you asked. Now, the simple example that I just gave you seems pretty easy to understand, but when it comes to our health, a lot of times people just try to do way too much. Fixing your health is usually not made consistent with one big decision. It's not. You don't just wake up with more discipline. That's why simply saying, like, I'll start on Monday turns into 52 Mondays. Or new year, new me turns into the same old you a week later. What causes real sustainable changes is you trying to stop, overhaul everything, and start making small little repeatable shifts that your body can actually tolerate. That is what helps you get to your health goals a lot quicker. It seems slower, but you avoid stopping and starting over and stopping and starting over and again. That right there, that's not getting you nowhere. But when you do small little tiny shifts, you actually end up more and more and more. You don't feel the need to start over and stop because it's so small. You're like, what am I stopping for? Make sense? Okay. Now, have you guys ever heard of James Clear? I mentioned him earlier. He's the author of Atomic Habits. So, what I'm going to talk to you guys about next is an adaptation of his 4 laws of behavior change. So, his framework is so powerful, but it was designed for like general habit change. And it's not specific for food habits that shape our daily battles with eating. So, I'm going to give you a little bit of a remix, okay? All right, so there's 4 laws. Here's law number 1. Make it obvious. Make it obvious, okay? Our brains just love shortcuts. It loves shortcuts. It does not want to search for clues. It wants the path to light up like a freaking runway, okay? So that's why so many habits, good or bad, are shaped by what's right in front of us. So, a wine glass on the counter, a bottle of wine chilling in the fridge, an Instagram meme telling you that it's wine o'clock. That's not weakness. That's actually a design. And yes, that's also the dark psychology of marketing, but that's another story for another day. Come and meet me in my school if you guys are joining from social media. I have a whole series of the dark psychology of food marketing. So join me, click subscribe, whatever. Join me in my school. Is absolutely free right now. And you can get to see all of that, those courseworks with the dark psychology of eating. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like you can watch a commercial with the cheese pull of the pizza and no longer be affected by it by knowing what they're doing. I just laugh at these commercials now. I don't get enticed by it anymore. But anyway, here's the science, okay? Habits are triggered by cues. And in neuroscience, this is called the cue response loop. Cue response loop. So when our brains sees or senses something often enough, it links that cue into action. Does that make sense? Think about it. Okay? So when your brain, let's just talk about the wine, okay? If the wine glass is visible, your brain doesn't stop you and ask you like, oh, is this healthy for me? It's not going to do that. That's not how our brains work, okay? It just runs the program. Pour and sip, pour and sip, pour and sip. And it just repeats that story that we've been told that a glass of wine is good for you. BS. It is not, okay? It's whatever. Anyway, but let's flip the script, okay? Make the supportive habit obvious. So I had a client that fed into needing a glass of wine every night to help her sleep. So to get her started, I just suggested that she not keep the wine glasses on the counter. Put them away behind the cabinets. That seems pretty small and simple, right? And I know we get these cute little design type of things that are just so cute as decorative, but it's actually silently killing a lot of people. Let me give you guys another example. I'm going to point toward this part of the cabinet right here because this right here, this is my cute, it's so dusty right now, forgive that. But this is a little glass thing that I bought probably 3 or 4 years ago because I like to bake and I make 95% of my food. And if you're new here, I am plant-based, but I don't push that on anybody. So I still enjoy sweets every now and then. So I would make chocolate cakes, one of my favorites, but it would be no eggs and cacao as the chocolate, all that kind of, it's great ingredients. However, that doesn't mean I should eat a whole cake every day, right? So once I got it out of my cube and stopped keeping it on my counter and put it away, I didn't devour it as much. So if you keep stuff like this on a counter, you're gonna want it because every time you walk by your kitchen, oh, I want a piece of cake. Oh, I want a glass of wine. Okay? Put it away behind the cabinet. And your mind, you won't see it as much. Okay? So that's what I had to do with my client. I just told her, put the wine glasses away. So again, you won't be on autopilot because again, seeing the glasses when you walk by or when you walk through the door. I think someone earlier said, you said just walking through the door after work or after a meeting or something like that. That's a moment where it leads you to food, even when you weren't hungry or thirsty, right? So those small little things, it helps your mental not just auto reach and autopilot toward food. Okay. So for my client, just walking through the door was one of those moments for her around food where she automatically was like, oh, I need a glass of wine. Sometimes you could just walk through the door and not see it and be like, and not even think about it. That can happen. Okay. So again, just putting the glass in the cabinet causes a little bit of friction, not a whole lot, but just a little bit to where it's no longer in your face. So then if she still thought about wine, here's step number 2. Okay. I suggested that she try some sorrel and I'll show you what that looks like. Here we go. Okay, this is sorrel. This is sorrel. Can you guys see this? Okay, very beneficial. It gives a slight similar feel as wine. It's the same color. This is like a burgundy, which is she drank red wine. Okay. And then she graduated to a special herbal blend that I created just for her to enjoy. This is called sorrel, Sorrel. It's also called Jamaican hibiscus. Hibiscus. Most of you guys ever heard of hibiscus, right? It's a tea, and that's it. It's great for low iron, which she had low iron. This is going to help you give natural energy and rest when it's time. Because the misconception about wine or any other type of alcohol where you feel sleepy, you feel like you're getting good rest, but you're actually not, because the stimulation in the alcohol doesn't allow you to get the deep REM sleep that you need. And over time, you're missing out on so many different benefits. And you're just making yourself older, quicker, faster. That's it. That's all you're doing. Okay. But anyway, my first client, her first drink wasn't the wine. Okay. It was the cue. So she put away the wine glasses and she transferred, or she traded out the wine glasses for a tea kettle and maybe her favorite coffee mug. Okay. Because sometimes it's like if you clear something away, you may need to replace it so it doesn't look so empty. So that's what I had her do. So those tiny cues told her brain, this is what we do now. Now, here's how you can do the same. Put your tea or your water bottle or your journal, whatever it is that you're trying to increase and do more, put it out where it's visible and put away those things that you know don't benefit you. So move the alcohol, the wine, the snacks, whatever it is, put it out of sight. Place those supportive cues where your old habits used to live. Because again, if you just take it away and there's an empty space there, your brain is going to be like, we're missing X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. So just replace it. That way your brain can see now this is what we do. Okay? This ain't about discipline, you guys. This is about design. So when your environment whispers the right cues, your brain follows without that daily tug of war. Make sense? All right, good deal. Okay. Law number 2, make it attractive. Okay? Our brains are wired to chase what feels good and avoid what feels dull. Duh, makes sense, right? That's why alcohol and late nights are glamorized. In music and TV and videos and storylines, the message is clear. Hey, we're having fun because we're drinking it up. Woo, this is freedom. You're missing out. Stop it. You ain't missing out on nothing, okay? So when you see that and you start to feel those kind of emotions, just pause for a second. Just pause. Pause and think. Is it entertainment? Or is it echoing the escape that we've been trained to crave? Neuroscience backs this up, you guys. Dopamine, which is our brain's feel-good chemicals, they spike not just when we, get a reward, but it also spikes when we are anticipating one. Let me give you an example. Have any of you guys ever started dancing when you just thought about a food? You're like, ooh, I'm going to order some wings tonight. It's Wednesday. Wing Wednesday. It's a discount. Woo, let's go. Yeah, wings. And you ain't even got the food yet. So simply just the idea of getting wine or wings or whatever before you even take the first sip or the first bite. It's the ritual that your brain has learned to expect. The memories of it all, the taste buds, you're already salivating just thinking about it. That lets you know how strong your mind is. You are stronger than you think. Okay? Yes. Yes, you are. Absolutely. Yes. So, Joe Dispenza says, emotions are just a record of our past. Emotions are just a record of our past. We simply remember how something made us feel or how something tasted the last time that we experienced it. So the shift, you guys, is very simple. Make your new habit attractive. Sorry. Make your new habit attractive, okay? I told you guys earlier, I cook maybe 90 to 95% of my food. There are times where I don't feel like it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put on some music. I may light some incense while I'm cleaning up. Whatever I need to do, I may call my friends or my family at the time that I'm cooking, when I'm standing there rinsing out some kale. Whatever it is that I need to do to get me in the mood. Okay? So if it's you and you want to drink less coffee, swap it out for an herbal tea. Like I said, this worked really well for my client. It's the same color as her red wine. It gave her the real energy that she needed. It gave her a slight little buzz. I created an herbal blend for her that made her feel that way. And it just told her body, hey, this feels good. Let's do this again. Let's keep doing this. That's the brain tricks that your body needs sometimes. And it's nothing wrong with that. If it's tricking it in a way that actually is beneficial to your body, nothing wrong with that, okay? So the more attractive the habit is, the less it feels like work, and the more that your brain wants it, and you'll keep doing it again and again. All right, law number 3, make it easy. Law number 3, make it easy, okay? Again, most people just try to change everything at once. Like clean out the pantry, throw out everything, all the snacks, all the cookies, the chips, the cakes, the pies. Oh my, no. They want to buy all the supplements. They want to swear off sugar for good. And then they wonder why it doesn't last. Neuroscience tells us our brains read big change as danger. So when we relapse, it's not because that we're weak. It's because our brains are protecting us from what's unfamiliar. Okay? Let's talk about that for a second. Things that are from a lot of times we go toward relationships with humans. Like we break up, get back together, break up, get back together. I've had a relationship where we broke up at least 6 or 7 times. And we got back together because I guess you could say we loved each other, but it was mostly because it was familiar. It was comforting. Anybody ever eaten a food that was comforting? It felt good. It was creamy. It was cheesy. It was warm. That's because it's familiar and comforting, right? So here's the remix to that. You want to make it easy. You want to shrink the habit so small until it feels almost too small to fail. Okay? Think about fast food. Fast food didn't start winning because it tasted better than home cooking. No, it didn't. It started winning because it was convenient. Women or men thought about, hey, you know what? I could just go to down the street real quick and order this food, and I ain't got to think about prepping, chopping, cooking, cleaning, none of that stuff. So yeah, let's just do that. And guess what? Once you realize that, your brain is just going to follow, because it likes to follow the path of least resistance, whether that path serves you or not. But that's why small wins matter. So here's another client of mine, Marcus. Marcus came in ready to change everything. He wanted to eat less meat, no sugar at all, no fried foods, and no dairy, just like all at once, right? He started on a Monday, like most people do, and guess what? By Thursday, done. He was done. So he came to me exhausted and was just like, Doc, what do I do? What do I do? And I said, no problem. We're going to scale it back a little bit. Instead of cutting out anything, I'm going to add one thing. And he was like, wait, Doc, wait. No, I want to cut some things out of my life. I said, Marcus, I get it. But in order to do that, you got to add first sometimes. So what did I add? I added sea moss to his regimen. Now, whether you've heard of sea moss before and you tried it, or you didn't try it because you heard of it and it was like, it's not that great. Sea moss provides the minerals that we need daily. Okay? Yes. A lot of times we are craving foods like chips, and we want the salt from the chips. Because who goes to their cabinet and just pours down a bottle of salt? No one does that. We need the potato or the chip to transfer what our bodies are really craving. So it's not the salt or the sodium. It's the true sodium that we can get from the earth. Okay? A lot of times if you're craving chocolate, you're actually not really craving chocolate. You're craving the magnesium. And that's how smart our bodies are. It's like we know where we can get some of these minerals, but we've trained ourselves to get it from like the worst places. So your body is asking for magnesium, but you've been taught to reach for that chocolate bar because there's a little bit of magnesium in there, right? So the body is like, okay, well, it's better than nothing. So let's do that again and again and again. No. If you give your body real sea moss, this is real sea moss. That's a sea moss challenge where it's so thick it doesn't drop through. But this is sea moss. I get mine from Crush Foster or Tyresha Nelson. One of those two. You can look them up on Instagram and Facebook. They have the real deal, you guys. Okay? It is amazing. And I don't overeat anymore because I'm truly full. When I told you guys earlier, when I fast, I'm not hungry. Now, again, this is not about not eating ever again or never wanting that donut or cookie ever again, but it's just eating less of it. Truly checking in with your body and like, you know what? I actually don't want that Snickers. Like, I don't have to have 5 of them a day like I used to. Okay? You just get less and less and less. And when you have less and less of those foods, you truly start to feel good. Okay? So that's why I join you guys from my kitchen, because this is medicine. Okay? Now, with one of those wins, just stack one little small tiny win every day, your energy is going to improve, and you're going to have more time to do those other things. Play with your kids, play with your grandkids, get the exercise in, and actually sleep well through the night. Okay? And so with my client who wanted to cut all those things out, he actually naturally reduced meat. A lot of times we're attracted to meat is because of the heme iron in it, which is what we don't need, but our bodies kind of naturally kind of like want something again, and that's one of the closest things that some people's bodies only know because they haven't tried anything else, and they're like, "Oh, I need this red meat." Until you supply your body with what it truly needs, it's kind of hard to know. Okay? So with Marcus, he just naturally reduced his meat intake because he's had some heart issues. And so it wasn't by force though. It was just like, oh, I don't even want it anymore. Okay? His body just didn't crave it the same way. And the same thing happened to me, hundreds of other of my clients. It can happen for you as well. Okay? So success doesn't come by going harder. It doesn't. Okay? It comes by making things easier for you. That's why I like AI and these automation things. They're winning because it makes things easier for you. You don't have to always work harder, just work smarter. Okay? So, some practical ways to make it easy: shrink it down. One sentence, one veggie, one breath. Okay? Reduce the friction. Okay? Keep water nearby. Speaking of water, one more time. Automate those things that support you. Keep your water next to you, put it on your nightstand, whatever you need to do to improve what you're trying to improve, okay? Like I said, stack those wins. You already have them there, just make it a little bit more convenient for yourself, okay? Then we're down to the last law. The last law says make it satisfying. Again, our brains don't stop us and say, you know what, is this burger from McDonald's healthy for us? We already know that answer, but it doesn't stop us, okay? It just cares about what feels good. And that's why shame and guilt and punishment, they don't work long term. Shame doesn't release dopamine, the feel good neurotransmitters. It doesn't do that. It actually does the opposite. Diet culture sold us that pain is progress. No. Research, real research, neuroscience tells us a whole different story. Dopamine actually drives your behavior. So when something feels rewarding, your brain says, hey, let's keep doing this. Okay? So the last client I'll tell you guys about tonight is Tanya. Tanya learned all of these things the hard way. Oh my goodness. Okay? Tanya tried every diet. She slipped, or every little slip that she had, it turned into guilt and restriction and punishment and all these kind of negative things that didn't serve her, right? Nothing changed except the cycle just got stronger. So when I taught her to celebrate the small wins, and I did this for myself the other day, I actually was laughing at myself, but celebrate the small wins. When you do that, so many things start to shift toward the direction that you want, okay? Part of celebrating a new year should be about celebrating new things, right? And trying new things. So with her, she had like a huge soda addiction. Like every time I saw her and talked to her, soda was in her hand. So putting the soda behind the cabinet or in the fridge where it was out of sight, that wasn't going to work for her because it was constantly on her mind. So for her, I jumped right to step number two, and I was like, okay, we're going to trade out your soda for Martinelli's. Anybody know what Martinelli's is? I've seen them in Dollar Tree. They sell them like, little small individual bottles. They look like they're in a champagne bottle, but it's like a bubbly, sparkly soda, and it's really really good. Now I taught her to pause before drinking and before eating, and this led to stopping when she was full. No lie. I want you guys to try it. Whatever it is, your food. If you're hungry and you overeat and you eat quickly, before you take your first bite or sip, I want you to pause, take some deep alkalizing breaths. If you're new here, I have a few videos on my YouTube channel and also in my Skool. You just take a deep breath in, hold it for 3 seconds, and then you exhale through your mouth. You want to do that 3 times back to back to back. And then that helps your nervous system stay calm. And your nervous system is like, oh, okay, we don't have to rush and eat these foods. Speaking of that, the reason why part of my program has a certified life coach and some other therapists that we're actually building relationships with is because our food choices are heavily influenced by everything else that is going on in our lives. If there's stress from bills, kids, aging parents, a phone call that you weren't expecting, those are the reasons why we gravitate toward the foods that don't love us back. Something quick and in a hurry, right? A lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times. And so we want to make sure that we are treating our nervous system the way that it needs to be treated, okay? Because we're in this world where everything has to be quick, fast, and in a hurry. A lot of times that's why we go toward the convenient foods. All this food that's in a gas station is unbelievable to me. They got, while you're pumping your gas, they're doing the advertisements of these full meal deals in the gas station, 2 for 2 hot dogs and all this other kind of stuff. It's no wonder why the struggle is real and hard. But like I said, come to my Skool and I will show you the dark psychology of eating and the marketing. And it's so funny. Like when it's just like, oh my gosh, you'll be amazed. But anyway, click that subscribe button if you're joining me from YouTube and Facebook. I'm telling you, you'll want to come back because I've got a lot to teach you guys, okay? But it helps me give you more free information, okay? Now, again, if you're keeping your goal too huge, like I want to lose 100 pounds, okay, cool. If that's what you need to do, no problem. But set that goal and then set it aside. Now, the next step is that you want to create a system and trust that it'll get you there. Not thinking about 100 pounds every single day. You'll get there. Just trust it. You just do these small little steps to actually get there. And then you'll look up and be like, oh my gosh, I've lost 115 pounds. Before you know it, it can drop off. And that's what I help people do. Okay? But you got to help me help you. All right? Now, let's recap everything that we've talked about, okay? Most habits don't start from scratch. Like they've grown out of the things that you're already currently doing. That's number 1. Number 2, take your CMOS. I get mine from Tyrisha Nelson, Tyrica Nelson, and Crush Foster. Those are the distributors that I trust when it comes to my CMOS. All right. So take your CMOS maybe like while your coffee is brewing or while you're on the floor doing some crunches or some stretching or something like that. After you buckle your seatbelt, because I think somebody said just getting in the car, they start to kind of get a little bit of anxiety. So once you buckle your seatbelt, I want you to start taking deep alkalizing breaths. That'll help calm your nervous system down. That'll help reduce you going to a drive-through that you probably don't even need. Before turning on your TV, someone else said, just watching TV, fill up your water bottle and take your water bottle with you to the couch. That'll help reduce a lot of the snacking and things of that nature. Okay. You guys, we don't need more willpower. You just need a better system. And that's what I help you design specifically for you inside of my program called Fed Up. So join me inside of my school. Click the link, hit subscribe, and I'll see you inside. Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. So, with my neighbor, the story I told you guys at the beginning of this story, only one of them is alive today because obviously, like the right system has to be set in place. The system for them was to close the kitchen every night at 8 p.m., regardless of what night of the week it is, right? But that obviously didn't work. That felt restrictive to them because what they thought was those kids growing up in that household, I can't wait till I become an adult so I can eat whenever I wanted to. So restrictions, you guys, you have to be really careful with that because that is why those kids are no longer here. And they were around my age. In almost exactly 2 months, I'll be 50. And for them to have reached a life to this point where they couldn't see 50 or 60, which is very young, because of what I call FTDs, food transmitted diseases, heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, complications of diabetes, all of that is from food, 100%. So restricting yourself from something, that's not always the good plan. And like I said, in the household that I was raised in, the kitchen was open 24/7. And I'm not saying that was good either, because that's why one of my issues is snacking late at night. But I'm working on that because this ain't about perfection, and I'm never going to come on here and act like I'm perfect. No, I still have my struggles. I'm just proud that I got into a space to where I no longer want the BS. Like the Taco Bell was probably one of my favorite fast food restaurants. I don't desire that anymore. If I do desire a taco, I'm going to make it myself. That's the deal that I've made to myself. If I want something, some kind of fast food like food, I'm going to make it myself. My burgers, they're so good. They're so good. I make it out of wild rice, sauteed onions, chopped mushrooms, a little bit of chickpea flour to bind it together, and that's my burger. It's freaking amazing. If you guys are joining from live from anywhere else, join me inside of my school and I'll give you the exact recipe. I don't have a problem with that, okay? But I don't think that more people need more recipes. You just need to retrain your mind to no longer desire the BS that they are coming at you with from so many different angles, okay? So one little small shift, not buying another cookbook, not necessarily right now, but just, like I said, just small little things of, whatever it is that you need. You guys let me know what your struggles are right now, and I'll try to see if I can workshop it real quick or kind of help you revamp it. I know one of the shifts that James talks about in his book is he wanted to start flossing more. Brushing his teeth wasn't a problem, thank God, but he wanted to floss more. So for some reason, a lot of us, including mine, well, it used to be until I read this, we keep our floss in a drawer. So out of sight, out of mind, right? That works for food that we don't need, but for things that we do need, we need to keep it visible. So what he said was he took his floss, he got the little floss picks, put them in a little small bowl, and put it next to his toothbrush. And that made him floss more. Think about those little tiny things that'll help you improve your life and your health for the better, okay? When habits run on systems instead of motivation, they stop wearing you down and they start holding you up. I appreciate you guys. I love you. I'll see y'all tomorrow for Think Thursdays. I'll give you some other tips on how to think better when it comes to your food and your health. And yeah, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys again tomorrow, or hopefully I'll see you inside of my school. Okay? See ya.